Hey, beautiful people, Ryan Hamer here today. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. So in this video, we are going to be talking about derogatory marks versus collection accounts. What's the difference? And I think a lot of people get confused with regards to where to look on their credit bureau report and what is a derogatory mark and what is a collection item. Although it may seem basic and simple to figure out and not confuse, I think there is a lot of misunderstanding, and I'm going to try to demystify the confusion between the two. So take the time to like, share, subscribe, and click the pre-notification buttons so you can be notified about my next video. Without further ado, let's get into it. So when you log into your credit bureau report, whether it be with TransUnion or Equifax, there is going to be a main display with respect to your current accounts. The accounts that are actually reporting on a monthly basis to your credit bureau report, whether they are revolving, which are credit cards and lines of credit, or whether they are cell phone bills, or whether they are installment loans, such as your car payment, mortgage payment, stuff like that. Okay? Now, this information is going to be in the main section. Then you're going to have a collection section that contains derogatory, well, I shouldn't say that. Let me stop for a minute. They are going to contain accounts that you didn't pay, forgot to pay, had a misunderstanding with the corporation, or somebody erroneously falsified information, or you had an account that maybe somebody stole your identity and ran up a credit card or something, and it ended up in collections. For whatever reason, something ended up in collections, and this is where it's going to be. So this item that's in collections, you think that, okay, I've paid it off, or I've negotiated, I've got it wiped out, it's gone. So that way you're good. But on the other side of your credit bureau report, in the actual current reporting section, you're going to have items like a cell phone bill, you're going to have a bank account, you're going to have a credit card you're going to have a credit card or what have you. And what happens if you're late? If you got late payment, if you got late payments, if you got slow payments, those are going to appear, and it's going to contribute to a derogatory mark on your credit bureau report. So if you don't think that being late with a credit card is a big deal, well, it is a big deal. It can result in sometimes 2-digit to 3-digit drops in your credit score, depending on how significant it is, depending on your credit mix, depending on how many credit cards you have. What do you have reporting? Is that the only thing that's reporting? Because if it's the only thing that you have, that single credit card that you have reporting on your credit bureau report, and you've messed up a payment, it's going to significantly have an impact on your score. As well as if you're over the limit on credit cards or lines of credit, your utilization is way too high, and you miss a payment, that's a big deal too. Look, stuff happens. It happens. But once it happens in this section, it significantly impacts your credit score and your profile, because of the fact that these are expenses, or these are things that are constantly rolling and revolving. You got to make a payment to your card. You have to make payments to your credit cards. If you don't, then it'll falter and it'll have a direct impact. Lines of credit as well, same thing, will have a direct impact on your score. So that's something that you definitely need to be aware of. Don't think that just because you've cleared off your collections and you have nothing in the collection section of your bureau report, you can do no wrong and you can make mistakes and it won't affect you significantly, because it sure will. Making sure that you pay your debts on time, pay your loans on time, pay your credit cards on time with the minimum payment at the very least. Keep the utilization low, as well as making sure that slow pays and no pays and all that stuff are not reported, because if they are reported, you get into trouble. Always try and make sure that you can contact your credit card company or whomever to make payment arrangements to keep it afloat within their system internally before it reaches the external R1, R2, R3, R9 credit rating. You know what I mean? So if you are in excess of the acceptable allowable timeframes with which to make a payment, then they'll report you negatively and it'll affect you deeply. All right. I hope you found this video valuable and understanding the difference between a derogatory mark, which is a mark on your existing revolving and installment accounts, as opposed to a simple collection, well, not a simple, as opposed to a collection item, which has already been written off, signed off by the institutional lender or whomever, and passed off to a third-party collections who is now attempting to collect on that debt. And that debt is on the other side, the collection side, the point of no return. So derogatory marks on existing revolving and installment accounts, they're bad, yes, but at least the accounts are still active, and you can still use them, and you can still recoup them or turn them around. But just because you've turned them around, it doesn't mean that those derogatory marks are gone and they disappear, because they still will show up as a late pay. They still will show up as a slow pay. It'll still show up as a no pay. It'll still show up that you're X amount of days behind, because they show you, whether you use Borrowell, Credit Karma, or Equifax or TransUnion, it'll show you the little chart and graph of how many years the account has been in existence, and then there will be a check mark or an X, and it'll show you that, hey, he or she missed a payment on this particular month in this particular year. And they keep that, I think that's 5 years or 6 years or whatever, and then maybe they kind of suss it out. But I mean, the longer you have the account, it'll show. So if you go to a lender and you want to borrow some money from them, you want to get a credit card or whatever, they can see all that stuff. So remember, you're doing it to yourself. Always try to make sure that you keep your accounts in good standing. Like, no one is perfect. I am guilty of it myself. I've had situations in which, something happened and I couldn't make the payment or whatever. So I've seen it affect my score and my profile in the same way. So I do not speak to you as if I'm sitting on my soapbox and I have never made these mistakes. I speak to you out of love, and I speak to you out of experience, because I too have made the same mistakes that I try to warn you and teach you about. If you liked this video, please feel free to share and like and comment and tell me what you thought about this video, and tell me if you have an opinion as to how this has affected you or someone that you know. Have a great day, and thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.